Chapter 4 of Dungeons and Dimwits, Adventure Time. The road led through deep forests and shadowed meadows full of plants they'd never seen before. Well, maybe except of Aureli the Sour Elf, who was more in touch with nature. Tall, impassable mountains surrounded the valley, still bathed in the grim, overwhelming shadow of the tall, dark spire. Nonetheless, the valley was full of life. Bees were buzzing, rabbits were hopping in the grass. Occasionally, one could hear the distant roar of a bear. A proud deer walked beneath the tree cover. I smelled of some strange, unfamiliar smell, and decided to check what was that before running away with the rest of the herd. I sniffed the air, walking along the ridge, overgrown moss and reddish grass. The strange smell all but disappeared. The deer was about to turn back and leave the scene when an arrow flew from the bushes, hitting it in between the eyes. "Dinner's ready," Sarah said, lowering her bow and watching the deer collapse. "I always thought elves were vegetarians," Fefir, the clueless barbarian, said. "Yeah, and we invented archery because we were bored." Sarah rolled her eyes and grabbed a knife. "Let's skin the son of a bitch." "Son of a dill, more like." Fefir chuckled, grabbing a large hunting knife. "Gmork made this one for me. It's got some runes built into it. But that serves for making meat softer or better aim while throwing." Sarah groaned. "I wonder why Gmork gave Lemon a crossbow with a sighting spell and I got nothing. She can't even shoot a crossbow." "Well, it's not a particularly good crossbow," Fefir replied, walking to the deer and watching the huge antlers. "Sometimes it shoots backwards. Also, I don't think Gmork will get you anything after you promise you feed him his balls." "Still, I like some upgrades." Sarah looked at her knife before castrating the dead deer with one swift motion. "Who knows how many cultists are there?" "Don't worry, we'll think of something." After the dinner, consisting of roasted deer and scrambled eggs, provided by Lemon, who mentioned something about singing with some unfortunately deceased bird, the party embarked on a further journey. Soon, however, they had to stop, as it turned out Grey Mouser was lagging behind. "Well, now we'll have to carry the halfling, I guess." Lemon shook her head. "Or stay here for the night. At least we could throw him at a young coming enemy." "Shut up," Grey Mouser replied. "On the rear guard. It seems that something is following us." "I can't hear anything," Sarah said. Grey Mouser shook his head. "I sense them on a different plane. They might not even be alive." "The mayor realized that his executioner always glimpses of zombies, huh?" Gmork chuckled. "Yeah, they probably smell better when they are alive." "Yeah, something else," the necromancer replied. "Can't put my finger on it." "To keep guarding our rears," Fefir smirked. "Your head's the perfect height for that. In fact, we get as well across here. It's getting dark." "If I were you, I'd sleep with one eye open." "Good thing I don't need sleep," Sarah said. "If only our artificer would give me something that'll work against the undead." "I'm not so decided, okay?" Gmork rolled his eyes. "I ain't giving you an occasion to rip my ass off." "I don't need an occasion," smirked in silently unlove-like way. "You better watch out, little An arrow hit Gmork's foot, piercing the boot and nailing the half-orc to the ground. "It wasn't me!" Sarah spun in place, grabbing her bow. She heard a war cry somewhere from behind the bushes and shot there, causing the cry to end in a choke, followed by the sound of a body hitting the ground. Several people, clad in dark cloaks, jumped from the tall grass of the surrounding party. Fefir the barbarian smirked, producing a sword and spinning around. "Radamikata!" he exclaimed, attacking the nearest enemy. The cultist parried the first blow with a long curved blade and jumped back. Fefir followed, but had to back up when the cultist gained momentum and counterattacked, almost giving the barbarian a new scar across the face. Aureli, the Sour Elf, yelled something in her native language. To her master's surprise, the cultist also spoke back in Elvish, chuckling in a rather cool way. "What's going on?" the halfling asked Lemon. "They're drows," Lemon replied. "My Elvish is shit, but I think they're exchanging compliments." Sarah shot one of the drow. He dodged, but the arrow hit one of his companions in the arm. He yelled something to which Sarah showed him her middle and index finger. "He said he cut out the fingers she uses to draw the bow, and she used them to sew those fingers." As Lemon said, "It's a traditional rude gesture, and I don't need a lesson in elf's culture. Greymaster raised his hand and fired a magic missile at one of the drow. Go and help fight Fafnir. As he pointed at the barbarian, who was trying to defend himself against the 5 cultists surrounding him. Okay, Lemon replied. Hey guys, wanna hang out? The 2 drow stood still with their mouths agape. That was enough for the barbarian. One of the drow suddenly parted with his head, while the other nearly got cut in half by Fafnir's enormous sword. Thanks, Fafnir said, parrying the blow of the 3rd drow. Why did it work on all of them? What are they, gay? Oh, I don't think it'd help them. Lemon grabbed one of the drow, pulled him away from Fafnir. When I seduced you, you're gonna be seduced, understood? Hey, don't seduce me by accident, the barbarian shuddered, seeing the drow fall limply to the ground with one hand buried in his trousers, while unsuccessfully trying to keep his innards from spilling out on the other. The other 2 drow backed off upon the sight. It was enough for Fafnir, who threw the sword at him, and the first one pointed to his own blade. Fafnir grabbed the axe and buried the drow's skull. Get on alive! Gamork exclaimed. Okay. Fafnir nodded and smacked the last of his enemies with the handle of his axe before swinging and cutting out the cultist's legs. Screaming, the cultist collapsed. More magic missiles swung in the air, hitting the other drow, as well as the ones hiding in the trees and shooting their bows. Several arrows bounced off Fafnir's armor. Lemon dodged them, but one of the arrows pressed her arm. Why can't I use Fire Tornado? She asked. I fry all these motherfuckers. Yes, and us with them. Grey Mouser shot another spell at a drow, who dropped to the ground right in front of him. And finished the opponent off with a small silver dagger. Go and tell Olaf you got offed by a hobbit with a paper knife. Maybe the old spire will sit herself laughing. No time for one-liners! Fafnir exclaimed. He craned his sword and was just trying to pierce a drow while Morgenstern with it. You keep trying to shoot us! Get someone to get us out! Gilmore pointed at his foot. I need to get my backpack! No problem. Sarah yanked the arrow out without much care. Looked at it for a moment, shot one of the drow archers. Enjoy your half-orc gates IV! She exclaimed. Rude! Gamark muttered, pressing to the backpack. He opened it and produced some object wrapped in a canvas, as well as a box of black steel balls. He then took one of the balls, lit the fuse, and connected it, rushed toward the drow hidden in the darkness. Okay, he exclaimed. This is my new sing slot, firing small falls and full of gunpowder. Let me show one of his traitors. You should chill out with YouTube, Grey Mouser muttered. Grimork shot the slingshot. Projectile hit one of the drow in the head and exploded. It wasn't a big explosion, just enough for the cast iron shrapnel to give the drow a nasty scar and wound a few of his companions. That's it? Zara asked. I expected something bigger. A dead drow with a Morgenstern sticking out of his back landed in front of Gamork, followed by Fafnir, who looked at the half-orc and yanked a box of balls out of his hands. Great Mouser! Fafnir exclaimed. Here! With these words, barbarian threw the box at the drow archer. The diminutive cleric emerged from the darkness and raised his hands, hitting the box with magic missile and propelling it forwards. It exploded among the archers, shattering the remains of the one box of iron shrapnel. The tree some of the drow were sitting on burst into flames. Sarah shot a few arrows at the burning archers, but then lowered her bows. Yeah, no use wasting arrows that they're frying anyway, she muttered, watching a handful of archers escape. We only wanted to tell the tale, right? She raised her bow again and shot one of the retreating drow. Ultimately, none of them, Grey Mouser replied, or they'll send more of their friends. Well, if no one came back, they sent another party to see what happened to the first one, Lemon said. Does anyone need healing? Me, Gamor pointed at his foot. And me. Fafnir exclaimed a few arrows out of his armor. And this guy. Sarah pointed at the drow with one leg, who was trying to crawl away. Where are you going, sweetheart? She asked, producing a knife. You have a great future. How long? Well, it depends on what you'll tell us. Do we even need to borrow of an alive guy? Grey Mouser asked. Some of those could be very talkative. Go to the nearest corpse. Not this one. Our friendly neighborhood barbarian turned his skull into a fucking jigsaw puzzle. When it comes to talking, alive guys are more convenient. She walked to the drow. So here's the deal. You either talk on your own, or I'll talk to you. Or, if you're into this sort of thing, Sarah will talk to you. The pale drow looked at Sour, looked at blade of her knife, then at Lemon, then his eviscerated companion, who still had a smile on his face, then at Lemon again. If I bleed out, I won't tell you anything, he said, pointing at his leg. And that's where you're wrong, Grey Mouser chuckled. Baboon! Silver exclaimed. Lemon and Sour looked at each other, trying to turn back to her. What? Sour asked. I mean, I don't have anything against Babu, but that was kind of random. I know. Silver Bliss. I mean, you were going to torture that drow, so I, just gotta send my safe word. Lemon chuckled. You have a safe word? You don't? Juniper asked. We're like in high school, come on, Sarah shook her head. Who needs a safe word anyway? All in or not at all, huh? Sugarcoat rolled her eyes behind Sarah's back. That's funny. By the way, because I have the same safe word. I mean, Sandalwood came up with it, and he's your cousin, so... She furrowed her eyebrows, making some kind of rapid mental calculations. Fuck. It's funny. Sonny smirked. I really didn't need that kind of mental image, but if y'all insist. I didn't even have that mental image before you mentioned it. Twice shuddered and finished the beer in one gulp. Thanks, I hate it. What's the safe word? I'll tell you when you grow up. Sugarcoat replied, turning to Juniper. So back to your cousin. The answer is no. Juniper replied. I need to make a phone call, Sugarcoat said. Does it have something to do with the mysterious drow cult Juniper was a part of before I cut off her leg and left her more sour to sadistic elf? Indigo replied. Sugarcoat sighed. No. And just get back to the game, Indigo said. Come on, right when the plot thickens, you start to wonder who's safe for his cousin. You mean, we finally started to kick ass. Sonny looked at her character card. Also, you owe me a full box of bombs. Bombs? Indigo chuckled. That was, at best, a firecracker. I see it was closer to a petard, Sugarcoat said. The word works in a medieval context, and if Sonny ever gets herself killed with this, well, you could say she was hoisted by her own petard, Shakespeare style. She looked at Jennifer. Guess you appreciate that. On a side note, did you know the word petard comes from a French word for fart? Indigo looked at Sonny and burst out to laughter. Are you saying she'd be killed by her own farts? She asked, almost immediately dropping under the table. Mentally, you're still 6 years old. Sugarcoat shook her head and grabbed her phone. Now, excuse me, I need to make this call. You can torture Juniper. Maybe Sandalwood when we hear that. Lemon and Sour looked at each other and smirked. Are you taking notes? Lemon asked. As a tiefling, she was deeply disappointed by the drow prisoner. Upon seeing her and Sour, he started to quickly tell him his whole life story. As he was about 200 years old, it turned out to be pretty long. So, you decided to tell Loft to bite her old spire ass and found yourselves a new master, right? Sour asked. Are you all drow? No. There are creatures of all races here, the drow replied. Dwarves, tieflings, orcs, you name it. Our master loves all of his children equally. Interesting example of tolerance, Sour muttered. What is the name of your master, then? Also, I don't recall any god who used a kraken as a symbol. So he went to the pouch of one of the dread drow and gave a handful of coins, similar to one Gamarka owned. Asmodeus, the drow replied. Lemon chuckled. Please, I know Asmodeus, and he eat all human seals for breakfast. Also, I see distinct lack of humans among your friends. She looked at the course in stride. So unless the old assy decided to start Sunday school, you're not confusing me. Did you just call the Lord of Hell assy? Sarah asked. I mean, I don't know how much you roll in hell, but that sounds... I sang Rack Me Asmodeus during family gatherings, Lemons replied. Being a tiefling aristocracy has its merits. Sarah shook her head. One day all this bullshit will backfire on you. She turned back to the drow. And you, don't you think you can lie to us? Or Lemon will have ask Uncle Asmodeus about your sorry ass. He's not my uncle, Lemon whispered. Still, I'm pretty sure in his big, bad, lawful evil code of conduct, there's a punishment for pretending to be his follower. Sarah cried. Was it 1,000 years in blasting furnaces of hell? My master's prize is worth all the suffering you can bring upon me. Your move, the drow replied. Sour and Lemon looked at each other. Who said anything about suffering? Lemon asked. What do you say? Fefir the Barbarian asked as he, Gamork, and Grey Mouser decided to wait until Sour and Lemon were finished. Not because of squeamishness, but rather they didn't want to get hit by the side effects of Lemon's charisma. Also, in case the guards ever interrogated them, they could all say they say nothing. Not to mention that, last but not least, Gabork needed peace to search through the items they took from the dead cultists, including several sets of robes. The dice hate me, Lemon replied. Welcome to my world. Fefir the Barbarian smirked. What exactly happened? Who knew that a leg amputation can weaken someone so much? Lemon sighed. I unbuttoned my shirt and he just kinda died. Really? Greymaster asked. Maybe I could. His head exploded, Sarah said. I think there's still some on my shoes. Also, we better get out of here. First they sent Drows, next they'll send the same thing that messed up Sinbad the Sailor. At night? Fefir asked. I mean, I got no problems with that, but... Don't worry. I'll go first so you don't walk into a gelatinous cube, Sarah said. Yeah, nothing wrong can happen, Gamork muttered. Also, what even think of the haters on this swamp? He pointed to the road in front of them. An ogre telling us to get the fuck out of his swamp? Fefir chuckled. Nah, I think he found his princess already, Lemon replied. If someone's afraid of darkness, I can sing a song. Yeah, and alarm every creature in a 10-mile radius. Sarah rolled her eyes. Move your asses, guys. We better get across the swamp till morning. They walked across the muddy meadow, smelling of dead, decaying plants, a distant note of a campfire. It was quiet. The calmness of the night only disturbed by the sounds of owls and loud tinkling of Fafir's armor whenever the barbarian tripped. Could you be quiet? Sour whispered. Like you, I can't see in the dark, Fafir muttered. Fucking swamp. I want gold, not pneumonia. Shut up. Greenmouser looked around. What if the ogre came back? They'll rip him a new one, Fafir replied. They continued to walk in silence. After an hour or so, they heard the echo of a blood-curdling scream coming from somewhere behind them. Something is feasting on those dead drow, Sarah whispered. Crows? Fafir asked. Drow eating crows? I have a feeling that this something has friends closer to us. Grey Mouser looked around. Maybe we could light a torch or something. I don't need a torch, and I can assure you I don't see anything, Sarah replied. Unless I'm failing a spot check, which is almost impossible. Suddenly, she heard a dull, metallic thud. Fafir, you moron, what did you walk into this time? A boulder, the barbarian replied. Some slimy, awful boulder. So he knocked the rock a few times. Strange. It seems like this rock is filled with jelly. Funny, isn't it? Sour's eyes widened when she looked at Fafir. If you don't stop poking, he'll either kill you, or I will, she whispered. Now, love for the Solon North area. Back off quietly. What is it? Fafir asked. A Thule. Sour whispered. You just poked him in the ass. Well, shit. The barbarian backed off too quickly and slipped in ankle-deep water. Sour always sighed when he fell, splashing the water around, landing right in front of another Thule. I prefer ogres! Fafir exclaimed, seeing two large pincers right above him. He grabbed the axe and rolled away, getting to his feet. The Thule hissed, trying to reach the barbarian with his tentacles. Two arrows bounced off its carapace. Excuse me a sec. Doesn't look too horrifying. Damn! Sarah exclaimed. Greymaster raised his hands and shot the bouncing missile at the Thule. More hissing followed from everywhere around. Congratulations! You woke up all the Thules in this valley! Gamork muttered, diving for supplies. In front of them, Fafir managed to hit Thule with his axe, but it got stuck in the pincer. What was worse, the other Thule woke up. The barbarian decided to flee. Do you have something stronger? He asked Greenmouser. A fireball or something? Throw me at them, the halfling replied. What? I said throw me at them, Greenmouser exclaimed. Before Lemon comes out with something dumb like seducing a Thule. Can I do that? Lemon replied, looked at the beast in front of them. Or not. Gotta have standards. She shrugged. If I only could cast Fire Tornado. Oh, fuck it! Grey Mouser ran at the Thules. I'm here, fuckers! One of the jewels raised its pincers, trying to nail the halfling to the ground, but he slipped down the creature's grasp and grabbed one of its legs. By the power of Tharzadun, the Grandmaster exclaimed, I inflict wounds upon thee! The jewel hissed, winging its leg and dropping its halfling on its back. Armor in place, touched by the Grey Mouser, turned dark, cracked in a few places, causing ooze to leak from its wounds. For the chain god! Grey Mouser grabbed the beast's neck. Sarah saw a few arrows of tentacles into the other jewel, but more were coming, as he could see them crawling out of the darkness. We better run, Sarah said. Wait, we could at least kill one! Fafir exclaimed, piercing the jewel's chest with a sword. It didn't do much. Cracks appeared around the wound. The barbarian dodged the tentacles and yanked the sword out. You won't loot it anyway! Sarah aimed at the jewel Grey Mouser was riding, but she lowered her bow. The jewel was staggering erratically, its lizard torso decaying in many places. Still, however, it was dangerous. It managed to shake the necromancer off, raised its pincers to kill him. When suddenly it froze and started to make a sound that could be described as laughter. Assuming the mutated lobster could laugh. Sarah looked at Lemon. Did you just cast hideous laughter at it? Why not? Lemon shrugged. Now, someone kill it before it shakes the spell off. Race and run to the hills, Gamark said. He's been preparing the jewels with crossbow bolts, but not without much side effects. There's water there. Plus, I'm gonna leave him a surprise. He grabbed the barrel of gunpowder. Yeah, we better get out of here, Sarah replied. Come on, Fafir, we're leaving. I need the escort to halfling to safely, the barbarian replied, swinging his sword in a desperate attempt to fend the oncoming jewels off. Next to him, Grey Mouser was running between the creatures, barely avoiding their pincers and tentacles. Suddenly, the necromancer missed a beat and staggered for a moment. One of the jewels charged at him, smacking him with a tentacle. The monster hissed triumphantly, but Fafir ran to him. Cutting some of the tentacles off, it caused the jewel to back off with a terrible screech. You okay there, Sugarcoat? I may have convinced him to become the Thurston follower, Grey Mouser whispered, and collapsed with the distinct sound of a failed constitution roll. The team is doing great, Fafir muttered, holding his sword with one hand, grabbing the unconscious halfling by the legs with the other. Then, seeing as more jewels emerged from the darkness, he decided to do the only reasonable thing left. This was fleeing. On his way up the hill, he saw a barrel rolling in the opposite direction. He struck it off. The barrel was not a jewel, so it posed no immediate threat. For him, at least, he only managed to run a few more steps up the hill, when a powerful explosion threw him to the ground. That'll show him, Gamark exclaimed. It certainly showed me, Fafir muttered, getting up trying to climb. My armor got charred! Behind you! Lemon screamed. Fafir turned back to see the only jewel desperate enough to follow them up the hill. Judging by the decaying, burned carapace full of cuts and cracks in plates, several arrows sticking from it. Seeing what Grey Mouser had been riding in earlier. It was limping, and half of its pincer was missing, but its mouth was full of tentacles and was out to get them. Fafir looked around, realized his sword was laying in the grass a few feet away from him. He had the axe on his back, but then he realized he had a better weapon in hand. Laying out a powerful war cry to the barbarians, he charged at the jewel, raising his arm and smacking the jewel over the head with the unconscious body of Grey Mouser. Something cracked. The jewel twitched and staggered, dropping on the ground, rolling down the hill, causing the bushes out of his way. Finally, he hit a large boulder, twisted for the last time, while wrestling limply with his legs spread at weird angles. Did you smear me against his tentacles? Grey Mouser whispered before passing out again. Maybe, Fafir shrugged. Let's get out of here. Just as the sun rises, you cross the ridge and see down the valley there's a village, Twilight said, yawning. There's a few straw huts and a wooden inn. Well, I can't see anything because I'm unconscious and down to 1 hit point. Sugarcoat muttered, turning to Indigo. Are you mental or what? Hobbits aren't an improvised weapon! Hey, this worked, Indigo chuckled. Also, for the last time, you're a halfling. Twilight rolled her eyes. Unless you want to see and D for Tolkien's estate. I identify as a hobbit, Sugarcoat replied. For me, you can even be a kender. Saraswee rolled her eyes. Just the one who steals bodies instead of money. Shut up, sour, Sugarcoat said. Call me a kender again, I'm going to turn you into a zombie. What's a kender? Jibber asked. The black sheep of the hobbit family, Sugarcoat replied. They steal, wander around being annoying, steal more, sing songs, and play accordions. Don't you think it's very suspicious? Sunny said, walking into the empty inn. She looked under the table, but only found some empty bottles of beer. Cultists are swarming in this place like kenders around a bag of coins. There's a swamp full of tools right behind the hill, and all the merchants wind up dead, and yet there's a village here, unburned and everything, complete with an inn. Yeah, very odd, Indigo muttered. We need rest and healing, so might as well take a peek. Famous last words, Lemon said. Maybe, Indigo replied, looking at her phone. But I guess it's something for the next session. Stay here any longer, it's going to turn a sleepover. Why don't we have any sleepovers anymore? Lemon asked. Because we're not 13, Sour Sweet replied. Though I must admit, it was quite fun when we were playing Truth and Dare in my house, and my sister walked in. Which one? Lemon asked. Because if Sweet Teen Sour, then it was indeed when we were 13. But Sweet Dreams, that was 2 weeks ago. Yes, but we weren't playing Truth or Dare 2 weeks ago, Sarah blessed. It was just the two of us, and, I'll stop digging myself deeper. History never repeats itself, but it often rhymes, Juniper chuckled. Do you ever forget about locking your door? I can't lock my door since the twins took over Sweet Teen Sour's room and ended up in mine, Sour rolled her eyes. Also, didn't your curiosity kill the cat? Strange. I always thought it was Indigo's motorbike. Sugarcoat shrugged and got off her seat. Okay, let's go before it turns catastrophic. So, am I driving everyone home again? Indigo asked. Well, since you're conveniently not drinking, Twilight looked at the empty bottles in front of her. Why did I even drink this? I'm gonna be sick tomorrow. Indigo only sighed.